everyone, my name's Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Today we're reading pages 65 to 80. 15 pages. Should be relatively quick. Sergio's Lucky Day. Well, I don't know what to think. The last story was pretty mid, as the cool kids say it. I don't know if cool kids still say it, in April. Again, this is going out a few months before, or recorded 3 months before, so it's pretty mid, no cap. Skibbity. I don't know. Alright, let's just get onto this bloody book and let's begin. Sergio's Lucky Day. Sergio looked up from his drafting board and squinted in annoyance at the bright sunshine blasting through the wall-to-wall windows along the front of the office building. He shifted to avoid being blinded. He rubbed the afternoon kink in his eye. He checked his time in the new stainless steel aviator-style watch, 2:32 p.m. He peered at his sub-dials within the main dial of the watch. His watch had 3 sub-dials, which he had no use for any of them, but they looked impressive, and things that looked impressive made him feel impressive. Above all, that was what Sergio wanted to be, impressive. I keep telling you that if you have to be careful what you wish for, Serge. Sergio jerked toward a man who come up behind him. He knocked over his coffee mug in the process. It went flying, but the man, Dale, Sergio's supervisor, caught it. Dale was a senior manager at the architectural firm, and a big guy, an ex-football player, to boot. The mug looked puny in his massive hand. "Now you've gone and done it," Dale said, flicking a few drops of coffee from his wrist. Thankfully, there wasn't much left in the mug. The sun hit the drop of the Dale's shaved head and shined so bright it looked like a halo. "Sorry, Dale. I didn't mean to throw a mug at you." "What?" Dale looked down at the mug, then thrust it back at Sergio. "Forget the mug. You got it, Serge. You got the project manager job." Sergio stood, then grinned. "Really? I thought a decision was going to be made until next week. It got pushed up because Sanders is leaving sooner than we thought he was. Sergio slid his shiny black wingtips over the gray carpet and abbreviated moonwalk back toward the sunshine behind him. When he twirled and did a fist bump, Dale chuckled. "Congratulations." He held out his hand. Sergio took his hand and then he frowned. "What do you mean by what you said?" "What did I say?" "Well, you said 2 things. Be careful what you fish for, and now you've gone and done it." "Well, you realize how hard project managers work, right? They're ready to start living at the office?" Sergio laughed. Dale didn't. Sergio sobered. "Are you serious?" Dale grinned and punched her yards. "Only a little. You probably only have to sleep here 3 or 4 nights a month." Sergio nodded as if that was just fine, but really it wasn't. Truth was, when he applied for the project manager job, he didn't really have been thinking about what the job would be like. He applied because it was the next logical step from where he was. He was on a fast track to the top, and staying on that track meant applying for promotion, whether you wanted to do more work or not. At 27, he defied the laws of becoming an architect to get where he already was. He got through college and post-grad work needed by the time he was 21. He hired by the best architectural firm in town. He had a license by the time he was 22. It only took him 3 years to get to senior architect, much to the annoyance of several older architects who got passed over. And now he was the firm's youngest ever project manager. Why wasn't he able to do all this? Well, 1, he was an architectural phenomenon. Since he was a kid, he had a head for numbers and an eye for spatial relationships. He knew how to mold physical reality into something eye-catching. And 2, he was determined. He was so determined to reach the top that he willed himself to work as hard as he had to. Nothing would stop him from getting what he wanted. But lately, he begun to wonder whether what he wanted was really what he wanted. "If the Sarge," Dale said. "Lost you there." Sergio shook his head. "Sorry." "Don't worry," Dale said. "We won't make you sleep here tonight." Dale let loose one of his full laughs, which had been one step below a sonic boom. Sergio had noticed that not a single head of the design floor lifted at the sound. Everyone was used to it. Dale tapped at Sergio's drafting desk. "I'll let you get back to it, but after work we should go out for dinner to celebrate your promotion. Say, 7:30? Oh, and you'll need to pack up your stuff. I'll have janitorial bring you boxes. They'll be moving your things to your office tomorrow." Sergio smiled. That was another reason he applied for the project manager job. He was going to get his own office, an unenclosed space. No more working out here in the open and other junior and senior architects. Now that was impressive. As soon as Dale strode away, Sergio's closest work buddy, both in terms of desk location and time spent together, Clive, threw up a wadded piece of paper at him. "Congrats, you idiot." Sergio deflected the ball of paper and said, "You're just jealous." "Not even a little, idiot." Clive shook his round head, and bushy brown hair flew into his eyes. For at least the 1,000th time, Sergio marveled at how much his friend looked like Bubbles, the chocolate labradoodle Clive and his girlfriend, Fiona, another architect in the firm, dotted on. It was just as Clive's brown curly hair. It was his big brown eyes, the earthy tones he dressed in, and the fluid way he moved. He was always ready for some kind of fun. Once Sergio told Clive that he looked like Bubbles, and Clive responded with, "Yeah, well you look like Trotter." And Sergio had a laugh at that. Trotter was Dale's dog, a spoiled miniature pinscher, and Sergio actually could see the resemblance. Like Trotter, he was small and compact and slender. He had somewhat pointed nose. He also liked Trotter, though. He was muscular and sleek. He wore his black hair slicked back, and he always dressed in dark fitted clothing. He knew he wasn't looking, but he did see his best in his own impressive, of course, style. And this Violet, and his girlfriend Violet, a junior architect at the firm, didn't seem to mind how he looked. You realize I'm your boss now, Sergio reminded Cliff. Cliff snorted. Fine, Mr. Idiot. And Sergio grinned, shook his head, and tried to concentrate on his work. Most of the department came to Sergio's promotion dinner. Considering it was a short notice for everyone, Sergio thought that was impressive. He hoped that it was because they were well-liked and not because they were sucking up. But he couldn't tell. He could never tell with people. He couldn't read people, not even Violet, whom he'd been dating for almost a year. He was often unsure about what she was really thinking. Didn't she mean it when she said he was awesome, or was he dating him because he was moving up in the firm, and she thought he'd take her with him? That was why he had to rely on hard work to get him the life he wanted. He was never going to schmooze his way to the top. How could he be more schmooze than he had a slam dunk of basketball? Dinner wasn't anything fancy. They're all trapeze across the street in the steakhouse. That had been a fixture on the block well before the firm moved into their new office building a year before. That was okay. The steakhouse had great food, and had kind of an old-world atmosphere. Sergio liked wood-paneled walls, leather the chairs, dark-stained tables, polished, plush gold carpeting, ornate wall sconces. Dale had reserved the restaurant's meeting room, and now Sergio sat on a round table filled with his fellow architects. 12 of the 14 in his department were there. Everyone was having a great time, joking, laughing, flirting. Strike that, everyone but Sergio was having a good time. Yes, he was throwing out one-liners and laughing at the right times, but his heart wasn't in it. Ever since he'd gotten the news of his promotions, he had been battling a sudden onset of depression he couldn't explain. What was wrong with him? He'd gotten good news, but why didn't it feel good at all? So what's it like with the new project manager? Violet asked as Sergio cut into the medium-rare ribeye. The grilled aroma of the beef on his plate combined with a savory sense of butter and onions. His mouth watered as he picked the pink juices run on his steak. He speared a bite and he just cut apart. Sergio looked at his freckled brunette girlfriend, short and pillowy. Violet was a picture of her curvy femininity. To play up her soft features, Violet wore clothes with lots of trim and ruffles and color. The wardrobe of sass, as she called it. She was always looking him as she looked sassy. He wasn't sure how sassy looked, so he always said, "You look sassy as heck, babe." Basically, he lied. Looking at Violet now, Sergio realized he often lied when it came to Violet. Don't you just love romantic comedies? Violet had asked the other night, as they headed to the theater, yet another romantic comedy movie. Sure do, babe, Sergio said. He hated romantic comedies. Give him a good sci-fi or supernatural movie any day. Even horror was better than romantic comedy. I hate horror movies, Violet had said on their second date. Don't you? Absolutely, Sergio said. The same kind of thing happened with food. Everyone seems to love Chinese food, Violet said on their third date, but I don't get the appeal. It's either too bland or too spicy. What do you think? I totally agree, Sergio said. Chinese takeout was one of his favorite things. Violet shows how they spent their time, too. On their first date, Violet announced that she was a go-getter. She let Sergio know that quiet nights at home would be rare. My mama always said, "You stand still too long, Vi, you'll get sprout root. You gotta keep rolling so you don't gather moss. So I like to keep moving, keep doing, and when I'm not at work, I'm out having fun, you know?" Sergio had nodded even though he was still entangled in her mixed metaphors, and he really liked hanging out at home. Sure, he said, life's too short to grow moss in your roots. Violet thought it was hilariously funny, which was nice, except he liked it when people found his attempts at humor amusing. But it was equally not nice because Violet had grown a truly obnoxious laugh, a cross between a honk, a siren, and a snore. Violet's laugh attracted attention from the way syrup attracts flies. She embarrassed Sergio on dozens of occasions. He actually started trying not to be amusing. It didn't work. Apparently he was a master of inadvertently saying funny things. It was just like this evening. After Dale told him about the promotion, Sergio went to Violet's drafting table and told her the good news. "There'll be dinner tonight. Assume you want to come?" She'd laugh at this if it was the best joke ever. He found that baffling. Yes, Violet was smart, and yes, they shared interests. But yes, she was pretty fun. But it was really so much they want a girlfriend who liked more things he liked. He wondered if they would start dating or if he told her the truth from the beginning. Would she even like him if she knew him? Really knew him? Heck, sometimes she wasn't sure if she liked the version of him that he was pretending to be. And sometimes he didn't like her much either. Violet was a flirt. Even though she was with Sergio, she'd come on to other men. And not just some men, all men, married or unmarried. She didn't care. She was just like the flirt. Sergio had never liked the flirting, but lately it was getting really on his nerves. Sergio? Sergio blinked and looked at Violet. He was tugging on his sleeve. I asked you a question. Sorry, what did you ask? I asked you how it feels to be a new project manager. Waiting until she had put his first bite of steak in his mouth and chewed it, Sergio gave Violet what he hoped was a neutral look that didn't betray his annoyance at her. For once, he gave her an honest answer. Well, I'm not the project manager yet, am I? So, I don't know. Violet let loose with her laugh. Sergio looked around and quickly took another bite of steak. The biggest issue in the relationship was that, well, Violet wasn't the girl he really wanted, but that girl was someone he hadn't seen in years. He wondered what she was doing now. Sophia Manchester started going into Sergio's high school during junior year. He fell in love with her on the first day she came to class, small and graceful like a ballerina. Sophia had dark looks he loved, and she had a face of an angel. She also was very smart, very nice, very funny, and unfortunately very popular. Although she was always perfectly kind to him and he noticed she seemed to like a lot of the same things he liked, they moved entirely different circles. He didn't get Sam a chance. But he never forgot her. In the nearly 10 years since he'd seen her, he had been trying to find a woman like her. That Violet, sadly, wasn't that woman. Violet patted his leg, then turned away for him to flirt with Clive, even though the only airhead would flirt with Clive. Everyone knew Clive was obviously taken out by a smoking, red-haired Fiona, who sat on the other side now, and Fiona was not a woman to be messed with. Case in point, when Violet leaned over to Clive to rub her chest against his arm, a spoonful of Fiona's mashed potatoes flew across the table onto Violet's new blouse. Oh, sorry, Fiona whispered into a smooth, confident voice. I didn't know that got away from me. Violet sniffed loudly and extricated the potatoes from her blouse. She leaned away from Clive. Sergio suppressed a smile and concentrated on his steak. The steak was the best part of the evening celebration. He could have done without the forced camaraderie. Being friendly with the other people was hard work, and he was tired of tonight. He wanted to go home and stop trying for just a few hours, but he couldn't do that yet. He had to keep eating and bantering and pretending all was right in the world. After most of the plates on the table had been cleared away and the waiters, Dale stood and tapped his water glass. The ding-ding-ding brought up every head of the table. So, Serge, Dale said, we want a speech, you know, we do. Everyone except Clive started chanting, speech, speech, speech. Clive was mouthing idiot at Sergio. Sergio smiled and stood. I'll make this short and sweet. Everyone cheered. Dale laughed. See? There's a reason this kid has advanced so quickly. Sergio grinned, as he knew he was supposed to. Well, here we go. Thank you, Dale, to you and the partners for the promotion. Dale inclined his head, smiling. You deserve it! Sergio smiled. And the rest of you. He lowered his voice to a growl. You're mine now, maggots, and don't you forget it. He sat down. The table was silent for at least 3 seconds, and Clive burst out laughing and started clapping. Violet joined in, and then everyone was laughing. Phew! For a second, Sergio thought he'd blown it. Of course, Violet wanted to go out dancing after the dinner. He convinced Sergio to invite Clive and Fiona and a couple other architects. Even though Sergio enjoyed showing off his dance move, they stayed up ridiculously late. Finally, Sergio took Violet home, and then headed to his own apartment, routing a few blocks away. Pulling his 2-year-old SUV into the assigned space in the garage of the apartment building, Sergio picked up a suit jacket from the leather passenger seat. He stepped out of a black vehicle and then closed and locked the doors. For a few seconds, he stood and stared at his SUV. He remembered how excited he was, and he brought it up. He had been wanting to trade in his old small pickup for a nice SUV for years. Once he had done it, though, he realized he really didn't have a vehicle he truly desired. Why was it he never wanted to climb a little higher on the ladder? He felt like he had too many rungs to go before he reached the top. Sighing, Sergio left his SUV behind him and took the elevator to the 3rd floor. There, he strode to the apartment, staring quietly with his back to the neighbor's door. Miss Bailey was a busybody, and she liked to ambush him when he got home. Only once in a while did he manage to get past. Oh, it's just you, Sergio, Miss Bailey's scratchy voice said as Sergio put his key in the lock. I thought I heard an intruder. You quite late tonight. Hot date? Sergio took a breath and turned. Hi, Mrs. Bailey. The petite gray-haired lady beamed at him. In the daytime, she usually wore a crispy iron shirt and dress in pastel colors, but tonight she was sporting a frilly pink nightgown under a white quilted robe. How was work today? Fine, Sergio said. It was not about to tell the promotion. Oh no, she was insistent on inviting him in and having baked goods in spite of the time. He yawned, not a fake yawn, but a well-timed one. I'm awfully tired, Miss Bailey. Please forgive me if I need to get inside and go to bed. Of course you do, dear, Miss Bailey smiled at him. You go get your rest. Sergio thanked his lucky stars and slipped into his apartment before Miss Bailey could say anything else. He closed the door behind him and latched on all 4 latches. He leaned back against the door and closed his eyes at home at last. Sergio had a nice apartment, a 1,200 square foot that was far from tiny, and the complex had been built only 2 years before. It supported the most up-to-date appliances and modern features that an architectural eye appreciated. A couple friends from the firm had helped Sergio decorate his apartment, and it looked good. They used natural beiges and grays, and both upscale masculine, and most of the furnishings were expensive antiques. That was decent place, but he resented that it was building that was also a house like of Miss Bailey. He deserved peace, didn't he? He shouldn't have to put up with a nosy old lady who didn't have anything better to do than torment him. Sergio crossed the living room and went into his bedroom. Removing his wallet from his pocket, he placed it in the ceramic tray he used for his wallet and keys and whatever other detritus might come out of his pockets at the end of the day. He then undressed and carefully hung up his suit and put everything else in the laundry hamper. Tugging on gray sweats and a black t-shirt, he lay down in the bed and dropped immediately into sleep. The next morning, his alarm woke him at 6 a.m. Feeling groggy and froggy, he groaned and turned on the TV. Flipping through the channels, he thought of the long day ahead. He would get moving. He looked at the prone like Queen Anne cherry nightstand. He checked his watch. It wasn't too early. He had picked up the phone. Leaning back on a pile of gray, white, and beige pillows, Sergio listened to the phone ring. He picked it up, and the third one. "Hello," his mother lightly accented voice said. "Mama?" Sergio said. "Sergio, what a surprise!" Something rustled against the phone, and her voice was muffled as she called. "Tony, come here! It's Sergio on the phone!" Her voice turned at full volume, and beyond where she shouted the phone. "Sergio, you still there? I'm putting you on speaker. Your papa is going to work out. Tony, come here. Come talk to Sergio on the speaker." Sergio took his head, and his mother sure did love the speakerphone. "How's our Sergio?" A deep voice boomed in the phone. "Have you built any skyscrapers lately?" The machine gun laugh had come with a ridiculous question and joined by his mother's wild giggling. Sergio shook his head again. "You know I don't build skyscrapers, Papa. I'm a residential renovation department of the firm." "So, renovate skyscraper apartment buildings? In town, they're the largest building and 10 stories high." "Oh, you have a visionary, son. If you want it all, you can't reach the top without being able to see the top. You have to be bold and daring to stand out." Tony Altieri knew all about being bold and daring and being on top. The head of a massive transportation company, Sergio's dad was an apprentice man. By the time Sergio was born, when Tony was 30, Tony had already built his empire and a mansion for his wife and new baby. Since then, his business only continued to grow. Today, he not only filled his mansion with the best furniture, arts, and cars, but he also bought more houses to fill with furniture, arts, and cars. Man, I feel like I'm running into another corner, or like another circle again, because honestly, this story. I always like to judge a story from the beginning, middle, and end. And this story is beginning to worry me a little bit because it's okay. Okay, it's a story of a man named Sergio. Yeah. It's going through life. He just got a project as a product manager. Awesome, cool, amazing. What does this have to do with Five Nights at Freddy's? I mean, okay, look, I'm only 15 pages in of what is a what? Hold on, we'll check it as I change, because today we read pages 65 to 80 of Sergio's Lucky Day. Super cool, yeah. Next time we'll be reading pages 81 to 100. So it's 140. We started on 65, or 142. I'm sorry. It's 142. So they have, what, 60, I'm sorry, not 63. Well, yeah, 63. Plus 15, which is what? 63 plus 15 is 78. So they have 78 pages to basically figure this out, and I'm worried because if it's like the other book, then it's not going to be very. I'm a holdout hope. I'm a holdout hope that this is going to be good. Because if you don't know, the Five Nights at Freddy's series actually does have a tier list, which is what we go over on the last episode of the book series. I do have an entire tier list made, so that should be interesting. And of course, I do post it on the posted. And yeah, all right. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll go through this experience together. Next week, we'll be able to go that, and yeah. Super fantastic, wonderful day, guys. See you tomorrow for the Learning Corner. Bye-bye.